everything. Well, here we are. This is now not an introduction video. This is indeed, in fact, episode one of. It's episode one. It's episode one. Introduction doesn't fucking count. This is episode one. And with this episode, I'm going to pretty much explain. Everyone has a beginning when it comes to music in some way, shape, or form. And with both of my parents, being born in the late 60s, going through the 70s and 80s, music did indeed, in fact, have such a big leap in evolution within that small time frame. And needless to say, in the 80s, the one thing that stand really proud and true was indeed, in fact, hair metal. I don't know why that was the name, but I think it was because of the amount of fucking Aquanet that was used to look like a fucking famous musician at the time. And, a lot of the bands around that time mainly talked about having fun. And that include, doing drugs, drinking alcohol, having a lot of fucking sex, and of course, playing rock and roll music. What a fucking time that was, huh? And yeah, there was a lot of bands around that time that perfectly exampled that. And I'm not going to go through the fucking list because the list is a plethora of fucking bands. And if you don't know 80s hair metal or 80s fucking rock, and a lot of the bands that my father and my mother listened to, respectively, it was almost the same, but not really, like at all. It was, but it wasn't. And with my father, on one hand, he listened to a lot of stuff like, Kiss. It was one of his favorite bands, and I think it is still his favorite band of all time. And of course, he ended up listening to stuff like, I don't know, Scorpions, Def Leppard, Poison. You get the fucking gist. And then on my mother's side, she listened to a lot of like almost the same stuff, but not really. Like she listened to stuff like Great White. Gee, mine's drawing a fucking blank. And also bands like Guns N' Roses, even though that's like more so like the tail end of the 80s, early 90s. But needless to say, my mom ended up being a bartender, and bartenders in the time played a lot of stuff like that. And I would classify that sort of music as bar music. Yeah. And everything with everything. And with everything included in the 80s, obviously all of their taste in music, both mom and dad, went on to me. And I obviously had, uncles and aunts that listened to music as well, and then their taste in music was fucking very diverse. Very diverse. And my older uncle on my mother's side listened to a lot of like the heavier stuff, like the thrashier stuff. Like Metallica, I feel like is one of his favorite bands. And then on my uncle's side, on my father's side, he listened to the same stuff as my dad to some level of degree, but a little different as well. And then my uncle, younger uncle on my mother's side, he was a very, very unique in his taste of music. And I guess you could say it was the grunge stuff of the 90s. You can't forget the fucking grunge, right? And with that, bands like Nirvana, Pearl Jam. Yeah, do I really have to fucking spill out the beans as to the not so very well aged genre that is grunge, because majority of the bands either don't exist anymore, band members have died, whether self-inflicted or just it happened. And then of course my aunts on my father's side, uh, it was really poppy, and I like pop, but not really. Like my older aunt on my father's side listened to stuff like fucking Madonna. Even though Madonna's not bad, it's not great. And then my younger aunt on my father's side had a weird obsession with Stevie Nicks. I'm gonna get some cranberry juice. Don't fucking spill it. Cranberry juice. And I really don't understand why everybody in my family such like had a weird taste in music even though they relatively knew each other for the most part, because my ass was fucking born. And yeah, obviously with everything considered, I really have to fucking stop saying that word. It's wake up, Brett. And obviously with all the genres of both sides of the family and me being around, I got a little bit of everything. And it really escalated from there. Like, really, really fucking fast. And I remember as a fucking kid, I was reciting Metallica's Black Album word for word, like no fucking tomorrow. And it was really fucking both shocking, impressive, but relatively sad because a lot of people really don't like that album by Metallica, but I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I like it. It's good. Cranberry juice. And also with my father liking Kiss, Iron Maiden, yeah, let me try to go through the fucking nonsense of a list. You know, you got Megadeth, you have Queensryche, Spit's Not Air. And obviously, with all those bands that my father has enjoyed throughout his entire lifetime, did indeed, in fact, stuck around with me more than my mother's taste of music. Not saying that my mother's taste of music was fucking awful. Mom, wherever you are, do not kick my ass, please. And eventually, over the course of time, my mom's taste in music did indeed, in fact, change because, you know, the evolution of rock did leap drastically into a more heavier fucking side, if you will. You know, bands such as like Godsmack surfaced, which I actually don't mind Godsmack. Godsmack is not that bad, even though I will say Godsmack is relatively favored by a lot of people in the service. I don't know why. And another thing that I also noticed about the band Godsmack, not trying to stay on the topic of Godsmack, I feel like the people that really enjoy Godsmack have a very fucking basic taste in music. I'm sorry if that offends you. And my father, he obviously, you know, with his change in music, he developed a taste of more complex stuff. And my father has mentioned this, that when he was listening to music in the late 80s, you know, he was listening to stuff like Rush, Quiet Riot, like again, the list of bands of the 80s, it's so fucking like you have to sit back and take on, like, because of the bands that existed within the 80s literally changed the course of music. It was almost as if here's the fucking foundation, take it what you will, and go from there. You know, in my youth, and I would say between the ages of 7 and 10, my taste of music was relatively unique. If I had to give it a word, unique. Juice. And I realized that around this time, it was really more so like in the mid 90s, almost hitting towards the early 2000s. I was also enjoying some music that I shouldn't have listened to at that age. Like, for example, White Zombie or Rob Zombie. That was a band that I stumbled upon, and wow. Nothing like horror-themed spooky boopy stuff. And also bands and musicians such as like Marilyn Manson. Yeah. Brett was a troubled kid at the time. And obviously, as time went on, the new metal era fucking came, and wow, I was like, give to me now. I am an angsty fucking child, and it's angry music, and I love it. Bands such as, like, for example, Slipknot was probably by far the most heaviest fucking band I've ever heard at that time, and a lot of other bands followed suit, such as System of a Down, Static X, Limp Bizkit. Yes, I enjoyed Limp Bizkit as a kid. Go fuck yourself. And also other bands such as Korn, OTEP, Coal Chamber. Do I really have to fucking continue? Mudvayne. Fucking, I don't know. Let's see. Brett.exe has stopped responding. Would you like to force close or wait for the program to respond? Finish this juice. And then, obviously, as time went on, from middle school to high school, my taste in music took a big fucking leap. And yeah, death metal. And, you know, bands such as like Cannibal Corpse, fucking Bloodbath became a band that I discovered at a very fucking young age. And whoo! Micah Elkefeld from Opeth, do the fucking roar, please. Do the roar. Do the roar. And if you know what I mean by that, congratulations, you're just as sad and pathetic, and would like to see Michael Elkefeld do that, which you and I both know he will never fucking do again, and that makes me sad, not just you, but everyone's sad. And bands such as, like, the Tech Deck stuff. You got Necrophagus, Decrepit Birth, Decapitated, Cephalic Carnage, like... And the taste of my music drastically changed throughout the course of high school, even though I was still dibble-dabbling with my new metal roots, as I would say, because even though I appreciated both my mother's taste in music and my father's taste in music and incorporated it into my taste in music, I felt that my natural roots, despite the fact of that, was indeed in fact new metal. And if that makes you cringe at the sound of that, well, fuck you. And I did also enjoy bands such as AFI. Yes, I enjoyed A Fire Inside. Yes, I know what AFI is abbreviated. And I obviously discovered bands such as Catatonia, which I fucking love Catatonia. Like, love it. And also goth rock stuff from that point on. Typo Negative. Typo Negative. And everything else that came along with discovering multitudes of subgenres within the metal scene gave me a more broader aspect of music within itself. And then, of course, at the end tail of my high school life, I discovered black metal. And then that was pretty much how the lifespan of my taste of music was, from beginning to the end. And yeah, black metal was something that I fucking dove headfirst in shallow pool water. And since then, I've been fucking concussed by black metal, and it consumes my everyday fucking life. And obviously, me being a fucking normie at the time, the two bands that I stumbled upon were both Mayhem and Burzum. If you want to know how I enjoy cornflakes, I fucking hate cornflakes. If you got that reference, I will say you are indeed, in fact, a normie, and you have probably watched the documentary of Until the Light Takes Us, where Varg Vikernes, or Count Krishnak, whatever you want to fucking call him, went entirely in depth of him having a conversation with another fellow black metal musicianist as to how they enjoy cornflakes. You figure a fucking subgenre about Satan and devil worshipping and church burning shit, which that doesn't define black metal, by the way. And if you think that, you're a fucking moron, and you probably don't have the brainstem fucking capacity to actually watch documentaries and cringe at that, do not watch Lords of Chaos, because even though that movie was partially almost accurate, it fucking was not. You will know that black metal is not all about Satan and devil worshiping and all that. It is the definition of all the other subgenres that don't want to fucking talk about black metal. We're gonna talk about that. And with Mayhem and Burzum being the two bands I discovered in my introduction of black metal, the one band I fucking focused upon more so than either band that I've stumbled upon within the black metal genre was indeed, in fact, Mayhem. And yeah, Mayhem's history, it's really fucked. By the way, you probably wonder why I say that. Kurt Cobain wasn't the first one. And that is probably all I really have to say for this video. I know this is probably something that you weren't expecting as a first video aside from the introduction. And if you have not watched the introduction, what the fuck are you doing with your life? And if you want to watch that, you probably might want to watch the first video of this channel. And yeah, if you want to keep up with this channel, you might want to, subscribe, hit that bell thingy, what I did explain in the introduction, where you get a notification whenever I do videos. And it also helps me out because, the algorithm of this platform slowly relies on subscribers, views, and also likes, which helps me out. And I hope it does, because your boy needs help. And that is really it, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. And expect more in-depth stuff as time goes on. I will probably do another video. I really don't want to give a schedule because schedules stresses me the fuck out, and I really don't want to be bound to a schedule because that's just not how we do things. And I really hate having a schedule because I have a schedule as is on a personal level. When it comes to work, and I really don't want to have a fucking another one. And I don't know what I'm going to talk about in that video when the time comes. I will think about it. But if you want to leave me some feedback in the comments, you could also do that. And maybe I might feed off of that for future fucking content. Help your boy out, like I said, please. And thank you for watching this video. And I hope you enjoy it as much as I fucking hated doing it. I'm kidding. I didn't hate it. I will hate the editing aspect, though. I did not enjoy it the first time, and I actually cut myself out. And I really hope that you have a good day. And, yeah, I'm going to have some more cranberry juice.